Aloha, welcome to Java. First, my apologies for the ambient noise and also for being a bit late. I had an unexpected rescheduling of a flight at an inopportune time, so my apologies for that. As it is right now, markets are about to open. It is Thursday, January 18th, 2024. I wanted to get on with this. So, starting first with our MMRI indicator has risen since yesterday, so showing increased risk in the market. At this moment, we're showing still a bit of pressure on stocks. However, looking at the relative strength of the dollar and the 10-year yield are retracing a bit. Stocks are also hitting a bit of a support level for the moment, and futures are green. So it looks like we are going to have a bit of at least a consolidation. I'm expecting a bit of a chop day as markets kind of decide which direction they would like to go. But at the moment, they are in the negative, but I do expect that to change throughout the day. So just kind of watch your positions, use the stop losses accordingly, and yeah, watch your levels. So with that, let's go through our calendar. We are expecting a few Fed presidents to speak today. Did get housing starts. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to catch up with that yet. Um, haven't quite made it to the lounge. So we've got some earnings coming in today also from KeyCorp and Truist, a couple of banks, as well as Fastenal. Fastenal will be looking at for an indicator of the manufacturing. So also looking through for our commodities, we've got oil is having a bit of a bounce because it had a change from OPEC coming out with a statement saying that they expect to see increased demands. That's always positive for that. So got a couple of mixed things here. We've got the IMF saying the global economy did better than projected in 2023, probably because it didn't crash around waves. So anything would be better than that. However, we are in definite decline globally. Uh, the Fed's beige book, they're saying, is finding signs of cooling labor market across the country. The problem with what the Fed looks at, it's all lagging indicators. They look to the past. It's like driving with a rear view mirror. It's not current. So we are expecting quite a bit more layoffs, softer labor market. And then we had Danielle DiMartino Booth, used to work in with Federal Reserve. So she's a great insider. And she's saying there's quite a bit more banking crisis and we're in phase one with more distress coming. I have a tremendous amount of respect for her. She really does know quite a bit on that inside, especially with central banking for the United States in particular. So I tend to agree with her opinion on these things. So we've got the European Union is talking about stricter rules to combat money laundering and capture crypto assets. So we all know they money launder in with insane amounts of regular currencies, bank issued currencies. So really, this is just a grab for assets. They are trying to get their hands on Bitcoin specifically, but other assets as fast as they can. And since a lot of it is out of their control, this is one more way that they can basically seize the assets. So we'll see more of that in the future. We've got the VanEck decided to delist their Bitcoin strategy. So, just a short bit about that. They decided to do this because all of the ETFs wanted to list at the same time. And what we're seeing here is good old competition, basically. They all started cutting their fees for their ETFs, and then VanEck decided that at that point in time, they could not make money. So they're going to, I expect them fully to relaunch later after this recovery. So as soon as those ETFs were approved, we did watch the sell off of the news as we were kind of thinking it would do, followed historically what happens with those types of events. So I wanted to bring this up because I think this is very important. It's regarding Moody's, and they're talking about no default risk in the event of confiscating the Russian assets. So, this is a huge contention point that is going on. And I have to realize, first off, that Moody's, as well as Fitch and the other rating agencies, are service providers. They provide the service of giving these ratings, and so they are bought and paid for as well. They are not, what they say isn't exactly as it should be following true figures. I'll just say that. However, now they're basically telling other countries that if they do seize Russia's assets, that they won't count it against them as loan defaults. And the story below it goes a little more into it because basically what happened, this all happened back in 2022 of June. So they told Moscow that if they once they seized their assets, if they were not repaying their loans, that it would hit their credit rating. So they're treating one country one way and everybody else another way, and that never ends well. So moving on, we had Pakistan expelled the envoy to Iran, recalling the ambassador from Tehran after the airstrikes late last night, early this morning, depending where you are in the world. But basically, what we're getting at is you're going to be bombarded with the news of the wars that are going on. There's multiple wars, not just physically, not just in Gaza, not just in Ukraine. We're also talking about monetary wars, trade wars, and currency wars. So, the surface story being fed to the public is that the US intercepted huge weapons hole found during a raid of an Iran shipment. So, they don't talk about the raids that we're doing on anyone else's shipments until they say they have found these weapons. Pretty soon it'll be weapons of mass destruction, I'm sure. Anyway, these are all more narrative coming out to the public through mainstream media. So we've got the Red Sea ship diversions talking about they're finally coming out with what we've been talking about, that they are boosting prices. So this is going to continue for a while, but they're finally putting out prices. They're saying 8%, but in other areas it's upwards of 20 plus percent that it has risen their shipping costs, and that will be passed on to the consumers. So I had another, they always make these stories very small and off to the side, but Saudi wanted to clarify their membership with the BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, basically. So they wanted to come out and make it very clear that they have not joined yet. They've been invited, but they have not joined yet. So is this a case of them basically changing sides? And we'll see how that works out. Okay, so I've got another thing that came up as well. So this is kind of a quiet thing, but it plays into all of this. United States just basically made a claim on more territory, and what they're talking about, if you haven't seen this, is the extension of a continental shelf. So what this in essence does, not adding necessarily to landmass, but they're making claims to the resources on the seabed below. And so what's happened right off the coast of Venezuela recently, they put in for this some time ago, and then also with the Gulf of Mexico. So they're talking about possibly uh, discussing the rights to the travel as well, because in general, it is accepted that it's 200, I believe it's 200 meters or so off of your water line, 200 miles off of the coast, that you can control it. But this is more about oil and resources, like it always is. So that came up. A couple of updates. I'm seeing more and more. They're talking about disease X. On with these two right here, you can see they're already developing a vaccine for a virus. And actually, in this story, they say virus. But disease X, they're saying, could either be a virus, could be a fungus, protozoan, could be a bacterium. They don't even know. It doesn't exist. It does not exist yet. So, how they're developing a vaccine for it is kind of crazy. I think it's mostly kind of a bit for putting out the patents for it first, because it is just unbelievable gains, as we saw with the last pandemic we went through. So, with that, I wish you all a wonderful trading day, wonderful day in general. I hope you all are green today. Again, my apologies for being late and any of the noise that may come through with this. So, until I see you again, my friends, stay free.